Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam, God.
Peace to the righteous Muslim God. Peace to
Peace,
the
God.
righteous Muslim God. What's going on,
Peace.
Lord? I know it's been a minute since we
A little while.
since I got on here. I had to,
Blink.
do a little bit of running around today, but yeah, I'm just
Okay.
making it back to the kingdom. So I said, let me hit you up and do like a little, just a little short, little quick bill. You know what I'm
Sure.
saying? And,
Absolutely.
yeah. But how you been doing, God?
Been
Since
doing
I
great,
ain't
man.
talked to you.
I've been
Yeah.
doing great. I had an addition to the family about almost 2 months ago, on July 27th. My
Okay.
granddaughter Niara was born, and
Okay.
she's special, God. I mean, the first granddaughter,
Yeah.
and like my grandson, she came to me, and well, my grandson, before a couple of months before my son and his lady told me that he was on the way, he came
Right.
to me, in a vision or whatever, and I'm looking at him. I'm at the point, they hadn't said anything to me, but I've had this gift for a long time, so I said, okay, something's going on. So with her, she came several times, and I said, okay, she's playful. She got a bright spirit like her brother. And as I did with him, I told my son and his lady, I said, oh, y'all got company coming. And they were denying it, but ultimately they told me. I was like, oh, okay. I said, well, so I began to tell them what I saw. I said, well, she's going to have the same sense of humor that Washington has, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And here she is. So they were just here a couple of days ago. Of course, that makes my day anytime I get a chance to spend time with her. But that's going on, and life in general.
Yeah,
And,
yes, sir.
anytime we get a chance to breathe oxygen and build first so-called Greek letter phi. Phi is a straight line with a zero. You turn it sideways, it looks like the all seeing eye, right? It connects to the all seeing eye from Kemet, right? But the phi itself is a universal principle, Lord. I didn't even know how deep at the time and I didn't really realize all of what I was tapping into. But the phi, or the golden mean, 1.16 is more universal than pi. 3.16. The devil will give you that.
3.1, right, 3.14 for pi, and you said the other one is
1.16 or 1.61. I gotta look at it again. But phi is the golden mean, or the golden ratio, is what was actually used in ancient architecture in the Great Pyramid of Khufu and the Sphinx. All of that is ancient geometry, ancient architectural science, but the golden mean is universal. It is the concept that links all of the planets together. It's the concept that links all of the pyramids on the planet Earth to the pyramids on Mars, and shows you how universal that concept is the principle of the proportions of the human being's face, is the spiral function in the whole universe. It's the shell that the lion has his hand over on Sigma Pi Phi, or the Boule shield. It's sacred secret science, right? And so my point of mentioning it is that number 21, I put that out in 1989 and threw the hint out about the year 2021. I put it out back then.
Wow.
But I guess it was just too far ahead.
Yeah.
And even though we in the nation, we say that the original man predicts, he writes history in advance, and then we live it out.
Right.
Well, here come a young brother dropping some science, and I was talking about how in the pyramids, certain chambers are linked with certain celestial bodies, and they foretell geomagnetic reversal and polar shift, how every 2100 years, the Earth shifts at its poles 30 degrees, and when it happens, you have what's called global warming, or the polar caps melt, the storms get more violent, the atmosphere charges. I was sharing jewels, and I was trying to prepare folks for what we were coming into. But folks, some people listen, even among righteous.
What year this was?
1989. That's when Thy Kingdom Come came out.
Yeah. Well,
32 years ago.
You would think in 80. Wait, oh, you said 89.
89.
Oh, okay. I'm when you said that, I'm thinking in my mind 1998, and I'm like, dudes was kind of, what I mean, because you had Dr. York and his teachings out there, kind of spooking, dudes out, talking about a lot of, what I'm saying.
And that's why I penned Imam Isa's Got a God Complex.
Right. So that's why I was thinking, what you were saying, it shouldn't have sounded too far-fetched. Because, like I said, Phil Valentine, Bobby Hemmett, Azariah, Ben Bay and them brothers, like doing lectures and all kind of stuff, teaching on the science and stuff of alchemy. And so that, but when you said 89, okay, well, yeah, back then, that you probably was a little ahead of your time back then. Because I don't think they wasn't on that back then.
Well, I mean, there were those that were, and what it was Master Fard Muhammad had laid the foundation way, way back.
For sure.
And the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he was dropping it. Think about it. He gave us a theology of time in 1972. He talked about the angel, the seventh angel, with one foot on land and one on the sea. And so he broke it down as to what it meant. He said, well, we eat food from both. And that there would come a period of time that we would have to stop eating from both, because the land from the sea and the land, the meat from the sea and the meat from the land, it would not be good for human consumption. Right? And we're in that time.
Yeah.
Where there's a shortage being
cut. The message said is very little pure food on the market, or something like that, I think was the quote.
Agriculture is a science that we the gods have to get into. We have to become farmers. We have to acquire land, and we got to grow our own food.
Right.
We got to have supermarkets. Like, remember your supermarket back in the day?
Yeah. The last time I seen that was around the late 90s, like 97, 98, 99. Then after that, you just stopped seeing them joints. They just disappeared.
Well, I thank Allah so much for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because through him and rebuilding the nation, we've reacquired the farmland down south. We got farmland in Michigan. We have farmland in different areas. I know that the FOI to purchase some farmland in Pennsylvania in the Coatesville area. So we are we're still in that rebuilding stage as the minister prepares to depart, right? We're still in that stage, but more of us have to get into that, especially now, because the atmosphere is being made more toxic. The food supply, there's a shortage being cut. There are ships out there on the seas that are not even able to dock and bring the food from the various parts of the planet that we normally, receive our food from. And you got the fires on the West Coast, you got the floods on the East Coast, and of course, global warming is making these storms wilder, and a lot of the vegetation is being destroyed. The summers are very hot. It's scorching the earth. And so we got to think quick about how we're going to continue to feed our families, get these hoop houses, where you got your own like vegetation growing. Even in the wintertime, you got that greenhouse effect where you can, you grow your greenery, your fruits, your vegetables, your bananas, or whatever it is that you're going to consume. But you got to cut back on the meats. You got to deal with the how to eat to live. Now is the time. Stay away from the hospitals.
Yeah.
Learn how to heal your own self with your diet.
Yeah. We can't. At this point, you can't even afford to get sick right now. you know what I'm saying, and have to be hospitalized or whatever for some sort of, you know, illness. That's not good in this day and time that we in.
Not what's happening, man.
Yeah,
It's not what's happening, bro.
Before we go though, God, you know, like I said, I ain't gonna build with you too long. You mentioned earlier about, you know, Zig Zag Zig, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, I know me and a couple of the gods, me and Jihad, matter of fact, we were supposed to have jumped on and, you know, touched on the science of that. I wanted you to, you know, just build on the science of, you know, when the 5%ers talk about the zig, the zag, and the zig, you know, like, and how that pretty much in the Nation of Islam, I guess you would say, Allah begets not, nor is he begotten. You know, like, how is that first God and that last God, how are they synonymous to each other in the, you know, the zigzag zig and that science? You know, I wanted to get your, you know, see on that, you know, before we shut it down.
I would love to, and thank you for bringing this up, because you mentioned Z, and the first thing that comes to my mind, I think about Zorro.
Yeah.
You know, we in a time where people got the mask over their mouth, but you know, Zorro had, you know, the mask over his eyes and black hat on, you know, and he was taking care of business. But and I think he was Latino too, man. He was an original man, you know.
When they used to come on to, you know, they had the cartoon one, but the one that was like live, I think it was his Hispanic brother or whatever that.
Right. And you know, our Latino brothers and sisters are us.
Yeah,
you know, we can't let nationalities be interpreted as biological makeup and things of that nature. Olmec, when you look at Olmec or the statue of Olmec, right, and you compare the thick nose and the thick lips, well, that's us, man. There's no difference, right? In our lessons, the 17 million with 2 million Indians, with, right, means together. And so Zig Zag Zig is also is 3 lines that are connecting, right? Think about that. And it is also reflective of the centripetal forces and the centrifugal forces that keep the universe together.
Yeah, bind
right?
it. Yes, sir.
The around and around is the universe, which is 76 quintillion miles in diameter, is oblong, and really is a never-ending cycle. Because even when you get to the end, you're coming back to the beginning. It's a never-ending cipher. And so when you deal with the first God, right, or the one who pulled himself out of triple darkness, all levels of darkness moving at 24 billion miles per second. And when you deal with that, it brings me to a discussion, and I actually have an article right here. I don't know if you can see it. Is that of the final call?
Crystal Enlightenment. Crystal Enlightenment. The
search for God's
kingdom within. Yes, sir. Oh, okay. No, yeah, Minister Jabril. Yes, sir.
No, Mother Tanetta.
Mother, I meant to say Mother Tanetta. Yeah, yes, sir.
Yes. And so in there, she's dealing with some high science, and she begins to talk about something that her son, Rasul, reminded her about. There was a discussion between, there was a question that was brought up after a lecture that Master Fard Muhammad had given back in the 1930s, in the early 1930s. And someone asked him how the original man traveled throughout the universe before there was a sun and moon and planets. And he calmly and succinctly said that the original man traveled in and out of orbs. And that's heavy. You know what I'm talking about with the orbs, the light, the points of light that when you use a magnifying glass, like over a sphere of energy, and you can see these orbs and these spheres of light.
Right.
Well, some people in the nation might say, man, that's kind of spooky. Well, no, that's atomic energy. Ain't nothing spooky about atomic energy.
Yeah, that's not spooky.
Ain't nothing spooky. And it also links up with something that Allah, the Father, said in the 60s when he talked about the power of creation, how the black man, before he was in the physical form, had a 72 trillion year dream history where we lived in air pockets.
Gaskets, we were gaskets.
Yeah,
Elements. Like,
so we were in orbs as we constructed the universe. This is how we moved around, right?
That's an actual fact.
I mean, I'm breathing oxygen, right? I need that. So that's gas, that's energy. You might not see me taking it in, but it's vital to my survival. If I sat here and held my breath for 10 minutes, guess what? I'm gonna leave you right in front of you on camera.
Yeah.
Because I'm taking in something that you can't see, but it's showing and proving that I need it to what? Live. Right? So it's the same process. And then of course I was conceived how? By way of a sperm that was emitted from my father's genitalia, right? Into my mother's womb, triple darkness,
right? Which
the God pulled himself out of, right?
That's all.
So it's a never-ending cycle. So that whole thing of he begets, first of all, that's English. I would love to know what beget, what that is in Arabic, and what it really means. This is what we must consider, because it's in the Quran, right? What does he begets not, and he is not, what does that mean in Arabic? What does it really mean? The bottom line is this, is that we are Allah. That whether the prior forms of our existence, whether it's gas, solid, liquid, whatever it is, we all replicate that and go through that. I was once a sperm and an egg that came together. I had a gestation period of 9 months in my mother's womb. When you first looked upon me, man, I didn't look like this. And then when I was born, when I came out, right? But it's all, and of course, as I age, this goes back from whence it came, but the mind remains. It's all energy, but it's a cipher.
Yes, sir.
And it's interconnecting lines. Think about it. You have two horizontal lines and a diagonal line that's connecting them, because you're going from one point to the next point.
Right.
You're going through time.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Yeah, which shows improved time. Yeah.
Mind, time, and space.
Point to the next point.
One point to the next point. And the key to it all is mastering this. Because when you master the mind masters this. When you reverse it, you turning that Z on its side, you get an N, which is now an N. You confining yourself to what? Time.
Yeah.
When you're doing that, you're breaking dietary laws, you're not living properly, you age faster, and you return to the essence faster.
Yeah.
And you get recycled. Because that same energy that's in you, guess what? It's built around another human being. Am I talking about reincarnation? No. I'm talking actual facts. Your physical essence, right? It goes back to the earth, right? Where's our vegetation coming at of? The earth, right? Is it coming at Is it coming out of space?
No, sir.
Did a flying saucer? I mean, the flying saucers are real, but does that bring you your food, clothing, and shelter?
No, sir.
We get it from the earth, right?
Right.
It's all recycled, God.
Yeah.
Think about it. It's a never-ending cipher.
I remember my enlightener, you know what I'm saying? He mentioned something like that once to me, and I was like, wow, I never looked at it like that. He was like, our bones represent you know, like the rocks of the earth. You know, no matter how old they may be, that represents the bones of the original man. He said our flesh or skin represents like the plant life, you know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying, of the planet. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And then he talked about like the blood and yo, it was like, wow. It's like one day, I'll never forget. We was in his house one day, you know, the guard used to blow, you know what I mean? So he rolled one up and, you know, we in there blowing and he was just like, God, you understand the science of how Allah created himself from nothing into something? And I was like, nah, God, you know, I don't know. And we was there for like 2 hours, 2.5 hours at least.
But it went like that, right?
Yeah, it didn't feel like we was sitting there that long, but yeah, the guard just went crazy with the info. And
it's, you know what, God, it reminds me of something that the minister said. He said, your conversation should always be on high. It should always be, you know, of a very fine intellectual nature, because that's the kind of good energy that you need to carry you.
Cool. That's food.
You know,
yes, sir.
It's food. It's food for you're recharging your molecular structure and your DNA. Your you know, I talk about coding and teaching the children coding
yes, sir.
for all of these apps. Well, this is the best code, or this is the best material to code.
Right.
With your mind. And the devil is constantly trying to code. What's this? I want to call him Little Richard, man, but this dude, Nasty Nas, or what's the he got Nas's name, man.
Oh, you talking about the
gay rapper.
The Bati boy.
Bati Man, you know, Nasty Man.
Yeah, the Lil Nas X.
Lil Nas, why you gonna put an X on him, man? Like he's a Muslim.
Put an X on it. Ain't that something? I mean, if the devil ain't something, I don't know what is. You know, like it's almost like I'm gonna just slap these niggas in their face and I'm gonna just stand right there, like what? Like what? You see what I'm doing? What? Like, cause I'm just like, wow, he calls himself Nas, and then he put
which is actually Arabic. Nas comes from Nasir.
Yeah, the men. Yeah.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Which means what?
The men. Or man. Well, men. Yeah. Insanity would be man, but yeah. Nas, men. Yeah.
Flipping it and reversing it. And this guy got all of this women's clothing on, and he ain't the only one. But they trying to twist the baby's minds. All with a little thing you can hold in your hand. Never mind the TV.
Right. No. That's played out now.
So we got a lot of teaching to do. This
gives you more quicker access to that foolery. You know what I'm saying?
This little building session, God, the basics. This is my point. We got to get back to the basics.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
We got to get back to the basics.
Yes, sir.
We got to get back to.
Yes, sir.
We got to get back to the basics.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Jews and Islam. Right?
You got the joints with the typewriter, you know what I mean?
Listen, we got to get back to
some of my enlighteners.
Yeah. Got to get back to the basics.
Yeah.
You know, what's today's degree? How do you see it? Can you still improve what that means? Because what that does is it creates positive mantras in the mind of the youth. It creates positive affirmations and positive energy in the atmosphere, which will correct a lot of the toxicity that is in existence right now, that is poisoning young and old people. It's the only way that we're going to survive this is if we recharge the atmosphere and we begin to infuse more positivity. These build sessions that we have, God, at almost 11 o'clock at night, is a good thing.
Yes, sir.
Because our cellular structures, we gonna sleep light tonight. I'm gonna have an out of body experience, man. I'm gonna go travel to another dimension. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, it's all real, Lord.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all real, right? But we must continue to teach. We got to be more creative with it. Jay Electronica, he's doing it through music. I was just having a conversation with Sister Iman. I don't know if you know Sister Iman. She's down there in Georgia somewhere, like on one of those islands. Not Jekyll Island, but there's another island that she's on. She's originally from Mississippi, but she spent a lot of time in Chicago. I'm surprised you never met Sister Iman. But she's into the high sciences. She's a healer. She's a Reiki healer. She deals with sound bowl technology. Well, we were building earlier today, and she was building with Jay Electron earlier today. They were chopping up a few things, man. But they were dealing on things we deal on right now.
Right. Is it Tybee Island or Hilton Head or something like that?
One of those. Not Hilton Head. I think that's South Carolina.
That's South Carolina. Yeah.
One of the isles off of Georgia. You know, you have.
Yeah. It's like, as you said, I'm thinking in my head now. Which one? Because there's several. Yeah.
And we as original people need to know more about them, because if you go on those islands, you have a lot of folks that don't look like us enjoying the treasures of those islands and the peace and the tranquility.
Yeah.
You know, we need to, we need to branch out, Lord.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, God. Yeah, man. Like I said, man, it's always good building with the gods, man. Definitely, man. Especially the elder gods. The ones that been around back then, and
Indeed. I share, God.
Yeah.
I share the same way that the older gods that came before me took the time, sat down. The older gods that I did the word with, first newspaper, The Gods and Earths. The first professional newspaper, Law Supreme, Man, God, Law, Mine, and Beloved. All of them got me by like 6, 7, 8 years. As we would lay the paper out and research articles, they always sat me down and cross-examined me. To make sure what? Number one, that I knew my lessons, that I wasn't spooky.
Right.
But that I had a firm foundation, man, because they you one of the stars in the nation. You got your education, you got your head on right, and you're going to go far. Look at what you're doing right now with your time. You sitting down in meetings with us, laying papers out to 1, 2, 3 in the morning, instead of out there boogieing and shaking your behind and partying. Right? They knew then. I was like, well, I got knowledge of self, and I take this seriously.
Yes, sir.
So that's got to be the same order today with our young bro. And not to say that all of them are kind of off, but we just have to warmly encourage the young brothers and sisters, man, that we passing this baton on, man. Because what? We're going to be recycled one day, Lord.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we got to make sure that we are sharing, we're dealing in what? Equality. Right? Which is sharing and caring and being a farmer, planting good seeds. We don't want to plant bad seeds. We want to plant good seeds. Even those of us who might be locked away in a correctional facility, go in there and show love and share. Don't go in there and be a devil.
Right.
Go in there in the name of, and you in there doing this, that, and the third.
Going there thinking you king of law, somebody, you
turn you into a queen.
Thinking you know what I'm saying? Thinking
everything is real, Lord. Everything is real, man.
Yeah.
You got to stand on your square wherever you are and show and prove, man, because every day is a show and prove, man. So I look forward to more of us being on here, man. Next time maybe we have a few more of us, Wakil, or the elder Allah Mel. That's one of the elders I look up to, man.
Yes, sir.
And I mention him. I reflect on Muhammad number 7. I think about student minister Abdul Hafiz. May Allah be pleased with him.
He used to be with the 5%ers too, right?
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely, absolutely. Came from the Brookline projects in Medina, like the Canarsie area. You familiar with Canarsie?
Yes, sir. I was just in New York a month ago. I was out there in Canarsie, yeah, at my man's house in Canarsie out there. A friend of mine who I grew up with passed away, so you know, we all went up there and just got together.
Okay.
Yes, sir. But what high school did you go to?
Springfield Gardens.
Oh, you went to school in Queens?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I graduated with Pepper.
Oh, okay.
Salt and Pepper. Yeah, 1982.
Wow, I was in junior high school. Yeah, I used to go to Winthrop Junior High School in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to Winthrop. But then when my mom moved to Coney Island, they switched me to Reynolds.
I took the test for Brooklyn Tech. I actually passed it, but they zoned me out. They, you know, the devil was doing some things. I wanted to like study architecture. I knew Brooklyn Tech was going to prepare me. You know, devil always got something up his sleeve. So I settled for Springfield, man, and I still got into Syracuse.
Okay.
And,
I finished up at New Utrecht High School. You know,
where's that?
In Bensonhurst, Brooklyn.
Woo!
It wasn't a lot of black people that went to.
Oh man,
I was in Lafayette at first. You know what I'm saying, Lafayette High School, but then you know, New Utrecht High School.
You went over there where
80th Street and Bath Avenue, you know, over there.
You went over there where the Italians caught Michael Griffith, man, and took him for bad. Remember that when they killed Michael Griffith?
Yeah, not Michael Griffith. That was in Crown Heights. In Bensonhurst it was Yusuf Hawkins.
Okay, Yusuf Hawkins was Bensonhurst?
That was in Bensonhurst with the Yusuf Hawkins situation.
Where was Michael Griffith killed?
No, you know what? That was Howard Beach. That was in Howard Beach. Yeah, that was the incident that happened in Howard Beach. I remember back then. And Yusuf Hawkins, that was in Brooklyn in Bensonhurst.
Okay.
And
Okay. Eleanor Bumpers.
Yeah.
I can still remember these cases, man.
Yeah.
Remember when the police came for Adam Abdul Hakim, otherwise known as Larry Davis?
Oh yeah.
Because they had him selling drugs for them for a long time. He's like, I don't want to do this anymore. And they're like, no, you're gonna continue. And they sent a hit squad.
I heard he had somebody told me he had knowledge himself too. He was a guard body.
Well, I mean, you see, he died with a righteous name, Adam Abdul Hakim.
Right.
Heavy history, man. That's why we gotta know history.
Yeah,
we gotta know the geographic, like you just corrected me, the geographic locations, how Medina is broken down, how the desert is broken down, who taught knowledge where, who brought light to the desert, who brought light to Medina, who brought light to upstate New York, who brought it to New Jersey, who brought it to Philly. I mean, this has to be known so that we understand.
It's important history.
Right?
Yeah, it's important.
So how you can keep your fruit good.
Right.
And we can pluck up the bad fruit.
Right.
So there's a whole lot of, you talked about Dr. York and Dr. York became Dr. Yogurt, promoting this gatekeeper life. I mean, he got they teaching this, bend over, open even, and take it any which way.
You know something? That's crazy because I guess those teachings were kept exclusive for his, own ministers or people who would, you know what I'm saying? But he didn't teach that in the public like that. But
that he was bisexual?
He was saying the gatekeeper, you got to go through the anal to, and to raise the Kundalini force, you got to bust a nigga behind open. Like, I'm like, yo, what the hell? Because I'm listening to this and I'm like, yo, I never heard that. But they was like, it was exclusive tapes that people had of some of his ministers or his top people that they were teaching this to other individuals. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy.
And so it goes back to what I put Imam Isa's got a God complex out there, and a few of the older guards were like, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I'm like, why shouldn't I do that? Somebody got to correct this wrong. Somebody got to use the pen. The pen is mightier than what? The sword.
Sword, yeah.
I said, I'm gonna take his head with the pen.
Yeah. But I mean, keep it a buck though, God. You know, back in BK, they wanted to take York's head for real, like on some real.
For real.
Because when the guards found, I mean, first you're disrespecting the father, you're disrespecting the messenger, you know, you're calling yourself, you know, the Mahdi, so you're disrespecting Master Fard Muhammad, you know, but then not only that, now you're coming out with all of these other crazy teachings.
Come on,
I see why he got ran out of there and he had to come down here to Georgia to seek refuge. They was gonna really take his head.
Yeah, man. And we gave, and while I was down there from 93 to 95, we gave him hell.
Yeah.
We gave him, let me tell you something. We brought it. While I was down there, I won't go on to all that right now. That's tune in next time.
Yeah.
Man, ask Wakil.
Matter of fact, probably the next time when we get on, I'm gonna see if I can bring Wakil on, and because I didn't know you were in Georgia back then in the early '90s. Like I said,
93 to 95, we used to have ciphers.
Right.
I used to go to the ciphers with my FOI, with my suit and bow tie, and I had the universal flag and the national on, and you know, I used to hold my son, bring my son to the parliaments, man, and we used to, man.
That was around the time when the Muslim guards first started catching hell, you know, just as 5%ers in the, you know what I'm saying, around 95, 96, 97, 98. The Muslim guards was kept, because by the time I met Wakil and True Islam and them brothers, like in what, 97, 98, by the time I first met them, they was already like demonized and you know what I'm saying? Like people was like, yo, don't go near them brothers. Don't go near them.
It started actually, God, it started back in the 80s.
Late
when,
80s.
Mel Shabazz, Wanik, Malik, and some of the other righteous gods used to show up at the parliament passing out pictures of Master Fard Muhammad. And God, it was I remember Freedom.
Right.
May Allah be pleased with him.
Papa Wu.
He was a general, man, at the parliament. He tried to keep things in order, but I
heard Minister Allah kind of like raised Freedom for the most part.
He was influenced.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you this, and I'm gonna leave it alone. Matter of fact, I'm gonna show you a picture of my father. Hold on. So when you look at the picture of my father,
hold it up a little bit. Okay. Oh, okay.
Minister Allah looks like my father.
Okay. He actually does. Yeah, I think Minister Allah was a little bit darker, but yeah, he was like your complexion, but yeah, he kind of do look like your pops. Yeah.
Right. So Prince Shanti, I started helping him do his biography about 10 years ago. And he started sending me all these pictures. So he sent me some pictures of him and Minister Allah. And I think I shared it with Wakil, but I shared it with Freedom and Prince Rakim, otherwise known as the Brizza.
Right.
And both of them, light bulb, bing! Papa was like, oh shit. He said, where you get that picture of Minister Allah? I said, Shanti. He said, oh, you know Shanti? I said, yeah, that's my man. Oh, for real? Word is born? Oh, his whole demeanor. I mean, we've known each other for, I don't know, like 30 years, something like that. But he was just understanding how tight Shanti and I are.
Right.
And that, you know, there's the connection with Minister Allah. But yes, you know, it explains the demeanor of Freedom. and his whole, you know,
yeah,
he was a much, I won't say watered down, but a much calmer version of it, because Minister Law was a warrior. For real, for real.
Yeah.
And quick, you know, itchy fingers.
Yeah. Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But Papa Wu had that similar, he carried that similar demeanor.
Yeah.
Who Papa Wu is among the gods now? You know, who is that same?
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? But he also had a very calm side to himself, you know. And I'm gonna tell you this, and I'm gonna leave it alone. And I know time is short, but I spent a lot of time in the studio with RZA and Divine Melquan before they, you know, the Wu concept came into existence. But it was as I was getting ready to leave the city, RZA they were developing it, and he was trying to tell me about it, but it really wasn't clicking in my head until you know I went down south. But I didn't see Method and Raekwon, Ghost, and them at the parliaments.
They weren't 5%ers. They were just supporters. I didn't learn this until years later. You know what I'm saying? But you know, back then, you know.
You see RZA in there?
Hold it up a little bit higher. Let me see the guys at the bottom.
You see Divine Melquan, Divine Knowledge, RZA.
Okay, I see RZA now. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Off to the side is one of the guards from Brave Diggers.
Yeah.
I got evidence, God.
Yeah.
You know, I got proof, man. You know, I know who was there and who wasn't.
Yeah.
I have audio tapes of the parliament.
Yeah.
Going back
that's
to
why I said I had to get a bill with you. I already knew it, you know what I mean? Because I know you from, you know what I'm saying, back in that era, and know a lot of those brothers who I used to just hear about. Like I said, I didn't know, you know, Minister Allah and you know what I'm saying, you know, the A team and I used to just hear
and Born and see, and that's what said you gotta have Shanti as a reservoir of that old, he take you back damn near to the 60s. He will take you back to like 71, 72.
Wow.
And give you that, you know, when they started having the show and prove.
Right.
And give you that history, that critical history.
Yeah.
That will clear a lot of, it'll set the record straight, man. And there won't be no issues between the Muslim gods and the NGE, all that stuff, man. I'm gonna call it for what it is. It's counterintelligence, man.
Yeah.
Really, you really want to know where there's confusion and chaos? Because Allah is not the author of chaos and confusion.
Right.
That stuff is counterintelligence.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe that. You know, wholeheartedly, I believe that, because I mean, a lot of times, you know, brothers, when you know, gods interact and they meet up and they build, and you know, gods have a mutual respect for one another, especially if you're saying something that came from the messenger or from one of the messenger's books or the lessons, and you able to show and prove that. A lot of times gods, you know, they part ways like, okay, peace. You know, now whether I agree with you and I'm gonna call myself a Muslim god or whatever, I ain't gonna call myself, but that's what you believe and you cool with that and you can manifest that out of the lessons. Cool. We, you know, peace, God, peace. And we part ways. That's happened to me numerous times. Gods couldn't defeat my argument about being a Muslim and a god. So we part ways. But over the internet now, you get this, oh, y'all niggas, fake ass niggas, and you know, all of these keyboard, you know, scholars.
But some of them are agents, God. Some of them not even God body, man.
Yeah,
Think
exactly.
about that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I had to learn that, you know, some people, you know, who don't have a avatar picture or nothing on their profile, it's just a blank profile, but they're on every post, you know, trying to argument, and you know what I'm saying? I don't even pay attention.
Have time for that, Lord.
Yeah.
You don't have time for that, God. When you have elder lords passing away, Umallah is gone. Dumar is gone. Firstborn Prince thanks to Colleen. It's our generation. It's the responsibility of that next generation as far as maintaining and passing that baton on to the young brothers and sisters, man. Yeah. And once we really get things grounded, everything is going to fall into place. When you look at it, let's look at it, God, as we close out. What happened with Zulu Nation? The same thing that happened with the Ansar Allah community, because unfortunately, Africa Bambaataa was experimenting with some explosives, right? And he didn't really put himself up for cross-examination, although it was known,
right?
And he got some of that from gang culture too.
Yeah. There's a mixture of all, a whole amalgamation of
circle jerking and all this other crazy stuff. I mean, come on, let's see. We gotta deal with the hard issues, so that we know how to keep that stuff away from, our babies, man.
Right.
And so that you can't convince a young God or a young Earth or a young M.G.C or young FOY like Prince Hakeem did. You remember the history of Prince Hakeem?
Wait, Prince
FOY in Chicago that some of that madness
in Chicago. Yeah. I'm thinking about in New York because I know another Prince Hakeem up in the BX and okay.
He brought that madness, and Polite. Now we see Polite was just arrested for doing trying to experiment with high explosives with his own daughter. You understand? And so you see, when you cross-examine, like how we used to do it old school, pardon me, Lord, what's today's degree? How you see today's mathematics? When you constantly check in, like we do in the nation, Lieutenant checks all his men. How you doing today? You all right? You need anything? But when we not checking one another, all kind of stuff can be breeded in this environment we in right now during this pandemic, and we not checking in with one another and seeing if somebody needs something or somebody going through something. Sometimes when a brother or sister go through something, they don't come out right. They morph into something else. Other than self. And that's why it's good. These type of builds, you get to see God. You get to hear God. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And we got to do that for one another, man, because that's love, man.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Definitely. That's what's going to keep us here, and make us strong. Checking in, ain't nothing wrong with checking in. Ain't nothing wrong with going through lessons. Ain't nothing wrong with going to study group, whether it's virtual or in person or whatever. You're going over, oh man, I want to go over them same study guides. Yeah, go back over them. If you don't want to go over the study guides, you don't want to go over the lessons. And if you don't want to go over the lessons, or you don't want to fast during Ramadan, ain't no telling what you do. You done lost your discipline.
You don't want to renew your history.
You don't want to renew it, man. You don't want to recharge your cellular structure. You don't want to be God. You want to be a what?
Yeah, the devil. Yeah.
Right?
Knowledge minus discipline equals devil.
Devil, man. I mean, so we gotta really be careful, man, during this hour, man, that we're in. And I thank Allah for brothers like yourself, man. Your zeal, I appreciate you, Lord. I appreciate your zeal and your fervor and your energy, man. And I appreciate the God, Brother Dr. Wesley. We know him as True Islam. I appreciate it, man. All of the books and the different lectures and the different things that he's doing. Wakil, and I mean, I can just go on and on. But when you put it all together, we are a help to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Sure. Absolutely.
And we got to continue doing what we're doing. And the sisters, that's why I mentioned Sister Iman the other sister Yanazdaha, she, you know, she going through her cycle with the, you know, with the illness, man. And I hope she comes out right. But we gotta be there for her, man.
What's wrong with the sister?
She's dealing with, you know, she's dealing with cancer, man.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, man, lung cancer.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
This is why we gotta, God, we gotta.
I haven't seen her, you know, it's been a minute since I've seen Sister Yanazda, but yeah. Wow, okay.
Dealing with that for about a year or so.
Wow, yeah, yeah. Wow.
Can't lose her, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We gotta be there for one another, man.
Yeah, yeah.
We gotta
because I was trying to see if I could I had hollered at her about a collaboration. We was gonna do like a song together, because you know she rap, you know what I mean?
Right.
And yeah, we was gonna try to see if we can do a little joint together, you know what
right.
I'm saying? But since I've been back in Georgia, it's been a little over a year now since I moved back out here from Texas.
Okay.
I haven't seen the sister in some, you know, in a minute. So that's why, you know, when you said that, I was like, what happened to sister? Yeah.
Wow. She's going through something, Lord.
Yeah, yeah.
Reach out to her, man. See if, you know.
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna have to now. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm gonna have to now. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, God, like I said, you know, it was definitely good building with you, man. I ain't gonna hold you long, man, but next time I jump on, because me and the God, we supposed to go on, me and Wakil or whatever, and like I said, we're gonna get some of this Georgia history, more of it, since, you know, you were down there like that.
Oh, man, listen, we gotta talk about that. I was down there from July of '93 to July of '95. I came back up north and settled here in Maryland, and we went right into the Million Man March.
Wow. Yeah, when you left Georgia, I was coming, because my first time in Georgia was the end of '96. You know what I'm saying?
As I was leaving, Brother Tim was coming down from DC. Matter of fact, as I was getting my transfer letter, he came in the office. He's like, "Do you know who I am?" And I honestly, I said, "No, sir, I don't know who you are." He was offended. He was like, "You don't know who I am?" I was like, "No, sir." But he was coming down as I would, you know, it was like the changing of the guard. So I came up here and hit the ground running, and I've been here ever since, man. But those were some electrifying. The 2 short years I was there, I used to bring Dr. Khaled down. We used to shake it up, man.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
you got to definitely get into some of that history. You know what I'm saying?
It's ill. It's ill. It's ill because, and Wakil and True could tell you the love, hell, and right that I went through down there, because I used to bring Doc down, and I would want to bring Sister Ava down, and the science that I went through, and the changing of the guards, where Jamil became the Southern Regional Rep, replacing Minister Van, and student minister Tony Muhammad, now known as Abdul Malik Saeed Muhammad. He became assistant Southern Regional Rep, and then he became the West Coast Regional Rep. I was at FOI class when that happened.
Wow.
So there was a lot of powerful stuff that happened in those 2 short years. Brother Burvey, now known as Saad, Brother Saad, he was down there. Brother Bernard, Kushmir, Jabril Muhammad's son, he was down there. The guard Shahid was in the mosque with us. Man, it was powerful.
Yeah.
Man, that mosque was powerful.
We definitely gonna have to get some bills on that, man. Because like I said, Atlanta. See, when I was in the Nation of Islam, and used to go to little classes and stuff. This was in 2001, when I was, 2000, 2001, right around that time. And at the time, Minister Ray Muhammad was the minister at Temple number 15. Minister Ray Muhammad or whatever.
Yes, sir, I know.
Yeah, brother, that was, man, that was some good times too. There was, even though it was, a few years after when you were there, but it was still from the late 90s on into the early 2000s.
Yes.
Because I was, at that point, I was during my transformation period. Because when I first came down to Georgia, I was Nation of God's Earth.
Right.
You know what I mean? But after being down here for about 2-3 years and meeting Muslim gods down here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like 2000, 2001, I was like Nation of Islam after that.
Right.
So,
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man, that's beautiful history, God.
Yes,
Definitely. So,
absolutely.
yeah, we definitely need to touch
Absolutely.
on that next time.
Okay.
You know.
All
But
right.
yeah, God, definitely, man. It was good building with you, man.
Always.
You know, and
Always,
like I
man.
said,
Basics. The basics. The
that's
basics.
it.
We're pushing the basics, man.
That's it. That's it. You
Look,
know.
before we go into, old school, because before we dealt with these degrees,
Uh-huh.
teaching
Yeah.
creation,
Yes, sir.
I mean, we have those, but you gotta be able to quote 120.
Yeah.
Even among the FOI and the M.G.T, you must be able to tell me.
Yeah.
Like this, if I ask you, what is the meaning of M.G.T?
Mm-hmm.
What is the meaning of FOI?
Mm-hmm.
You supposed to be able to spit it.
Spit
If I
the
ask
answer
you,
out. Yeah.
your solar, you should know your solar. You should know that Mars is 142 million miles away from the sun. That Uranus is 1,783,000,000 miles away from the sun.
Yeah.
Venus is 67 million miles away from. I mean, you should be able to spit it just like that.
Yeah.
Not just your general orders.
Yes, sir.
But you got to know them lessons.
Yeah. Like I was telling Brother Boris the last time we were building, I was like, my lessons I had kind of forgot them. And the reason why is because, again, I was NGE. So when I learned my lessons, it was like, because theirs is worded kind of different. So coming into the nation now, I couldn't come in there quoting like, NGE lessons or whatever. So I had to like relearn, you know what I'm saying? And that kind of caused a lot of, because it's one thing, it's good when you could just learn it for the first time the right way. And but in my situation, it didn't happen. Like I had learned it the wrong way first. And then now I had to scratch that. You can come into the nation quoting that stuff. Brothers used to always be like, "Oh yeah, Brother Robert, he coming with them the Brother Clarence teachings, them Shabaznian teacher. They used to call us the Shabaznians, They had all kind of names.
But you know what, God? When you get, all right, so with student enrollment, who was the original man? The original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream crown of earth, God of the universe.
That's nation.
Father of
civilization. I kept saying father of civilization.
Right. Yeah. So, but it's supposed to be in there. It was taken out by mistake.
Right. Originally, yeah. Yes, sir.
So, and Brother Saad, formerly Brother Burbe, he mentioned, and it believes me in that the lessons are being reset.
Right.
And they'll be re-released because the minister wants it corrected before we continue to pass these out, because these aren't even available anymore.
Right.
Okay. But my point is, once you get into English lesson number 1, Lost Found Muslim lesson number 1, Lost Found Muslim lesson number 2, let's just be honest. A lot of the believers in the Nation of Islam, they're not even quoting them. They ain't even going to know. They're not even going to know.
Yeah.
They don't even know those lessons like the way the minister want them. The minister wants them to, because what's it doing? It's like Minister Akbar said, it's setting up, the guards in your brain so that you can filter. You come in the presence of a hypocrite or an agent, they ain't gonna know the lessons.
Right.
But we're not at the point in the nation where that's the language. You understand? It should be.
Right.
But like it is with the gods and the earths, or was, because now a lot of us, we older and we act like we retired or something. Like we don't want to.
Yeah.
We just want to smoke a cigar and have something to drink.
Yeah.
Nah, man.
Reminisce
There
on
is no retirement.
Yeah.
There is no retirement.
No. Not being a servant of God. Yeah, not being a servant of God. No.
No, man. The minister, you see, the minister still teaching, right? The minister just taught at the Christian pastors ordination last weekend. Reverend Shaw.
Yeah, still going
And the
strong.
minister, look, the minister got a head full of hair, man.
Yeah.
You look at the minister, you gotta take a double take. You're like, man, the minister look younger than most of us.
I've been lost mine, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Since I was like,
I got some, man, but I ain't got much. You know?
Since I was like 25, 26,
Listen.
mine was just disappearing.
Listen, minister got a head full of hair.
Yeah.
And his energy level is on 100.
Yeah.
At almost 90 years of age.
Yeah.
And he got 3 colostomy bags.
Mm.
What are we complaining about, man?
Wow.
Somebody told a story, man. Is in close quarters, man, and one of the brothers on the security team, he went to use the bathroom, and the minister said, "That is the sweetest sound that I could ever hear." And the brother said, "What? He's in the bathroom." The apostle, he said, "Yeah." He said, I can't do that anymore."
Wow.
Think about it, man. And he's had those colostomy bags since 2000. He's had them 21 years.
Wow.
What are we complaining about?
Wow. Yeah, I remember 2001, 2000, yeah. That right around that time, you're right. Yeah,
What's that? We don't have an excuse.
Yeah.
We don't have an excuse.
None whatsoever.
None, man.
Yeah. We got to get on the job, God, definitely. These bills are definitely, stay on our post, walk my post in a perfect manner, always being on the alert.
Always. And make sure that our brothers and sisters know these lessons, man, because whether you give it to them like this, like we used to have them, I got it.
Hey, yes, sir, God. Yes, sir.
You know what it is, Lord, man. Look, man, get you some rest.
Yeah. It was beautiful.
Whatever you're going to do, you're going to watch feature, you're going to watch some good spooky movies or something before you go to bed.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm finna go lay it down now, Lord. You know what I mean? Yes, sir.
I'm still teleworking, man, so it ain't going to be a hard day tomorrow at work, man. I'm teleworking until January.
Okay. Well, yeah, God. Like I said, definitely, man. We're gonna definitely link up again, do this again.
No doubt.
Like I said, but yeah, as always, God, it was good building with you. You know what I'm saying?
From the heart, G. From the heart, man.
Yes, sir. So
peace to the God.
Peace to the God. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Peace.